Beyonce's performance in Dubai was nothing but a ritual, a bewitching ritual merging Islam and Christian, also sun worship, and a lot of other witchcraft and occult high elites. That's why it was exclusive. If you didn't notice, she was limping, and then on the way back, she was walking just fine. I'm not sure if they forced her to perform and her voice was strained. People made up that she was limping because of a foot surgery, and then others said she was working too much on her voice. But the performance was only an hour, and she did only 19 songs, and some of them wasn't even her songs. And then it was just all of this dramatics and theatrics and everything, I guess, because it's a performance and everything. But I noticed how also when the limping, how the foot, how it tells us the prophecy God gave to Eve and the serpent in Genesis. Beyonce is Jezebel in the flesh, and they use the power of the Atlantis for the mystery and for the ancient magic to also bring about the water kingdom. It's not a coincidence that it was a new moon in Aquarius. Also, her water, she does a lot with water because of her ties with the marine kingdom and her covenants with the different water spirits. And also, when she sings, she's like an open portal. She has a lot of demons. We only know about Sasha Fierce, but she channels a lot of demons. And then we have these celebrities who put spells over the music and over the thing. So while we're listening to it, we're being bewitched and we're getting sucked in while they worship the Antichrist. So we're on the Antichrist frequency and they're idolizing him and they trying to get us to merge in and worship the beast and worship Islam and Christianity and to do sun worship just like they do sun worship and be in that demonic ancient type of things. This is going all the way back to Babylon, to Egyptian times, and now the Catholic Church does it, and they're using Beyonce to be that fallen angel to merge the thing. Whenever they need a ritual done, they call on her to harvest a lot of energy and to mock and blaspheme not only the Messiah but the Mother Mary and also the Most High God and of itself, because they worship the Queen of Heaven and they pull on the moon energy and they try to blaspheme the altar of the Lord in the midst of Egypt. And I noticed that they also had a lot of Greek mythology going on in here, and that they charged her 24 million for the performance, or she charged them that, or that's how much they was going to pay her for it. And also that they were going to make it to where nobody had their phones out, so there wasn't no recordings being done. And it says a live stream showing the Atlantis resort cut off immediately as Beyonce hit the stage. It's possible Wi-Fi has been turned off. Signal blockers could be in use, and it says in Beyonce in Dubai. So they didn't want nobody to really have but the exclusive. So like the elite, the occult, all those who were invited. It was a need to know basis, a 3-day event from January 20th to January 22. I guess you could say a 2-day event. So I had seen the 24, and then Atlantis by the fall of Atlantis, and then she already had the sun worship going on. But not only the sun worship, she had a lot of the Greek mythology going on, and I believe that the Renaissance era was also the time when the Greeks or the Romans were in power. And this is during the time of a lot of the crusades that happened, and also when Leonardo da Vinci made the painting of Caesar Borgia. Renaissance era. So that's what they're trying to bring us back to that time with this. He was a Renaissance captain who, as a holder of the office of Duke of the Romangia or Romagna, a captain general of the armies of the church, enhanced the political power of his father's papacy and tried to establish his own principality in Central
Italy. So Caesar Borgia is the painting of the so-called Jesus Christ that they tell us is the Son of God, and also was the original son of the Pope during that time, and they considered the Pope to be God and the Father. That's why they would come to him, tell their confession to him, kiss his ring, worship him in a way, worship the saints, the Catholic saints, doing a lot of Santeria, voodoo, hoodoo, and also just Roman Catholicism. So she had the print of the Greece print going on, the different statues in the back of the Romans, and then the sun worship, how they worship the sun as well. The example, the Messiah's example of the sun, but they like to just bring it on the sun. And it says in the word, whoever confesses that Yeshua HaMashiach, the Messiah, came in the flesh, are the sons of God, or those who are saved, because he came as a human being as well, not only just as his soul vessel as the son. And so, but they don't want to give the power to the Messiah or the second coming Messiah or Cara Lewis or Yeshua HaMashiach, but they want to give it to the actual son and to the Queen of Heaven. So that's why they're using Beyonce to do that. So I was like, okay, they paid her $24 million. Okay, you got to think about how much is this worth, or what could she possibly doing on a large scale for it to be 24 million for only 2 days in Dubai. And now my thing want to act funny. So 2 plus 4 is 6, right? And then I had picked that up, and so I'm like, okay, January 20th, 2023. What's that? I was like, okay, that's 10, so that's gonna be a 1. So I got that 1. Just keep that in mind. And then January 2021, 2023, that's 11. So okay, that's a 2. So we got the 1 out there, and we got the 2. So just keep that in the forefront of your mind. And then, okay, I said January 2022, the final day of her performance, 2023. Okay, and I was like, okay, that's a 12. So we got 10, 11, 12, and it's going like 1, 2, 3, because this is the final 3. So I put that all together, the 1, the 2, and the 3, and you got 6. That's the second 6. And then she sung 19 songs, so turn that 9 upside down is a 6. Also, Renaissance is her 9th album. That's also a 6. So then you got your triple 6, and they can say all they want that the Baphomet or the triple 6 is just carbon or melanin, or is just the womb of the woman, but it's also the face of the beast, the mark of the beast, and also the number for Satan. And it's used in wickedness and evil, and the flesh is our enemy, because that's what our spirit is warring against. And they do these certain rituals, and they need this to like bring forth a lot of energy and power on the demonic side to get their left hand path sorcery done on a large scale where the masses can see it and they can make it happen. She loves being worshipped as the sun goddess.
At a concert stop in Seattle last week, James disses Beyonce for singing her song at President Obama's inauguration ball.
My love has come along.
I tell you, that woman he is singing for, singing my song, she gonna get her ass ripped. The great Beyonce. I can't stand Beyonce. She had no business up there singing up there on a big old President Day, and gonna be singing my song that I've been singing forever.
James even seemed annoyed by Obama.
You guys know your president, right? You know the one with the big ears? Yeah, we know. Yeah, wait a minute. He ain't my president. He might be yours. He ain't my president.
Last time she sang that song was to worship Obama when he was dancing with Michelle. Don't get mad at me. He said it too. All right, in all seriousness, this last new moon was very significant because it was an Aquarius moon. And so a lot of things with Aquarius, it's a new age. It brings a lot of things to the forefront, a lot of clarity. It is the age of knowledge, so things are being revealed. And not only that, this is when they do their sacrifices, their blood sacrifices. This is when they start and initiate, manifest certain things. And I think it's really ironic that the woman came out and spoke against Beyonce about how she was doing witchcraft against her. But during that time, it was just thrown out of court. It was just laughed about. But then later on, we have songs that she came up with, like Black Parade, that says she charges her crystals in a full moon, and also how she's a daughter of Oshun, who is a voodoo deity, and also how she has different other spirits that she's been working with, and demonic spirits that she channels, or that channels through her to get certain done. So when they do these rituals, when I say that they're a ritual, it's because they're doing them to harvest energy. They're doing them for whatever agenda they have planned. They're doing them to get riches, to get fame, and to also just stop the Messiah, to stop the saints, to go against the chosen ones. I have had many of dreams being absolutely attacked, harassed, spiritually abused by Beyonce and by her demonic spirits, and even to the point to where I was even trying to pray for her to save her soul, because she is sitting in the back seat of her own body because of the different rituals and sacrifices that she have done, and the different satanic things. The fallen angels or demonic presence takes over your vessel and uses you. And so I pray for her, and I've been like severely attacked by even praying for her. So I was like, okay, I'm probably not gonna go that hard into praying. However, it still's been point to where I have had my own spiritual abilities stolen from me and fighting against Beyonce and her whole squad of demons. So I'm gonna also put in a lot of the different blood sacrifices that goes down when she does her songs that comes out, when she does her rituals that comes out, how they need to have a sacrifice. And usually it's on a large scale, because if they don't want to do their family member or someone close to them, then they have to choose some random person. And whenever they choose some random person, it's always a group of people and a large scale of people who all get affected because they're in the area, and also it will equal up to the amount of bloodlust that their god Satan asks for. All right, so around the same time as the concert or the event, there also was 9 to 10 people that were killed during the New Year festivals, the lunar, and lunar is for moon as well. And this happened in California, and it was at a nightclub or like a dance club and something like that, or something with music. The same thing that was going on over across seas in Dubai. So I thought that couldn't be a coincidence. And then also, if y'all remember when there was mysteriously teenagers who died at a nightclub in South Africa. I forgot all the details. I'm going to put it in the video, but they had died mysteriously. They still don't know why they died, but they just passed out. Some might think it was like a poison or a toxin or something. So whatever that the spells that Beyonce does, she captures the souls of her fans. And like I said, they do witchcraft over the music to make spells of them, but she captures their souls while she's singing. And so to harvest the souls, and I don't know if she does this to stay young or just to stay having the spiritual powers that she has right now, but whenever she does her spell work, the different souls are around her. So I was summoned during that time when all those souls or those spirits were sacrificed at that nightclub. And I remember being there, and I remember like the running that was going on. And then afterwards, I had got a notification about how Beyonce was and Jay-Z was coming off of a private plane from a vacation. And I swear it was different. This must be Beyonce's internet, because she was wearing black with a hoodie and wasn't really showing her face. And he was right behind her, and it kind of looked like they was in haste, like they wouldn't hurry up and get off the plane and everything like that. But this was the same day, but they switched the picture, and now it shows them on like a vacation with their children, coming off the private plane. So I just thought that was just weird. But everything you can link it were certain days with certain times that albums come out, certain times that concerts happen, like the Travis concert, and other different big events and holidays with massacres.
Let's not forget.
Did Queen Bee practice witchcraft on one of her musicians? In this Daily Mail TV exclusive, the drummer who claims she was put under Beyonce's spell is now speaking out.
The fact that people keep saying I'm crazy, hell, the situations I had to deal with and survive are crazy.
Kimberly Thompson says she is tormented from being put under manic sexual spells by Beyonce.
We're talking about other situations where changing into animals and jumping into other bodies and all kinds of really crazy stuff.
In bizarre court papers, Thompson claims Beyonce, who she refers to as this person, has started a campaign of harassment against her that includes extreme witchcraft, dark magic, and magic spells of sexual molestation. She also claims Beyonce murdered her kitten after the singer put a spell on it.
They were like, the cat has a spell on it. The cat was taken back to her people, and they killed it.
It's unclear why Thompson is speaking out now, even though she says Beyonce has been at it since 2006.
She's not been able to let me go. She's not been able to let me progress. She's just been a savage.
Senior correspondent Tara Burney joins us now. And Tara, these claims are bizarre.
Really strange.
Has Beyonce responded at all to these?
Jesse, Beyonce's a little busy. She's on tour with Jay-Z. They're finishing up in LA, so they have not responded. And as far as Thompson, her request for a temporary restraining order was denied by a judge, most likely because of the nonsensical rantings about witchcraft. So I don't know. It's hard to say.
How often judges have to rule on something like this, as bizarre as this. What were Thompson's other claims here?
There's a lot of them. First, that Beyonce stole money from her. She had her stalked. She had her bullied. Thompson said she had to move several different times to different cities because she was casting spells on her work and her relationships, and she couldn't hold down a job, and she couldn't find a boyfriend.
Okay, I'm going to go on a limb here and say there will be no legal repercussion for Beyonce.
Getting a little emotional just watching that, because I remember that story, and that woman was literally crying out to us, calling out to us, telling us what was going on with her, and then asking the courts for assistance and protection, but it was just dismissed and laughed about. And of course Beyonce didn't say nothing about it, because she's just gonna go and do more voodoo mixed with Wiccan, and then get her demons in the beehives to fight her battles against the people who are speaking up against her. If you say anything against Beyonce that is not kissing her sweet behind, then you're attacked spiritually, physically, and on social media. And this woman, Jaguar Wright, has been speaking against her and Jay-Z, and they're both savages. Every time I see them in visions, it's always them two coming together against me, or it's just Beyonce. But she was speaking out against them, and I believe they put a root on her, or they can hire witch doctors as well, because they have so much money to do these things against certain people who speak out against them. And some people are like, oh, we're just common folk, they don't care. If somebody is speaking about them, or if anything of their personal lives is leaked out, then they silence that person any means possible. But now this woman is in a 72-hour hold. Well, supposedly she was in a 72-hour hold hospital, but it's been over a week and nobody has heard from her. Now her husband's saying she needs bail money, that she is in jail, and she did a whole bunch of crazy stuff when before she was exposing the industry. I feel like the Most High God got her out of the industry, made them to turn against her, and revealed to her a lot of the things that they were doing in the industry so that she can expose it. It tells us to take no fruit in evil, but to expose them. But then she started speaking out a lot of things. But when you get out of the occult, you get out of the Illuminati, you're supposed to fill yourself with the word of God. You're supposed to fast and pray and be sober. And a lot of them don't do that, and that's how the enemy creeps back in and gets a hold of them. And she even said she had magic on her, roots done on her. She revealed a lot of the different people in the industry who were witches and just a lot of things. So sometimes it'd be a hit on you if you're not armored up and you're not in the word. It's one thing to pray, but it's also one thing to be ready for battle and to be spiritual warfare protected and armored up, and just making sure that no doors are open, no demonic doors are open at all, not even allowing a cigarette or alcohol to just take you off your path.
Closed my mouth more. Tried to be softer, prettier, less awake. Fasted for 60 days. Wore white. Abstained from mirrors. Abstained from sex. Slowly did not speak another word. In that time, my hair I grew past my ankles. I slept on a mat on the floor. I swallowed a sword. I levitated. Went to the basement, confessed my sins, and was baptized in a river. Got on my knees and said amen, and said I mean. I whipped my own back and asked for dominion at your feet. I threw myself into a volcano. I drank the blood and drank the wine. I sat alone and begged and bent at the waist for God. I crossed myself and thought I saw the devil. I grew thickened skin on my feet. I bathed in bleach and plugged my menses with pages from the holy book, but still inside me, coiled deep, was the need to know. Are you cheating on me? Are you cheating on me?
Her Lemonade album was all about her initiation to the Water Kingdom and how she had went through the process of the initiation. And I would know because I was initiated to the Water Kingdom through witchcraft that way. So I even seen this very image of the woman wearing in white and all together in lines. That was wearing white, and they do it for purity, for like marrying spirit, but really it's marrying the devil. The Water Kingdom is the devil's most effective kingdom, and he's more of water and the prince of the air, while the Messiah is fire and earth. So she also talked about how she had fasted and prayed and did everything. So I feel like she was also trying to seek God, but they do that period to try to test you to see if you're going to go through with the full ritual initiation or if you're going to give up. So it's going to be like God's going to come to you, the devil's going to come to you, he's going to offer you certain things, but at the end of her going through that process, and because it's sometimes it's really a hard process and a lot of revelation and reflection and projection and shadow work that you have to do going through that process. But also you are having to deal with a lot of things within your own self. And she was going through a process of seeking God and repenting, but then realizing at the end of the day that she's her own God, becoming her own God, and seeing the devil, and then going through blasphemy. And so the whole album was her going through the initiation, coming out the first song, Hold Up, and it opened the doors and the water coming down. That was her completing the ritual and coming up out of the initiation, now being a priestess of the water, of a siren and the mermaid kingdom. And a lot of the dreams that I have had with her, my first dream, I've been harassed by Beyonce for about 5 years now, and the first dream I've had of her was her being on the waters, but it was like she was the boat, but like the Titanic. She had the Titanic, and everybody else, it was like a flood going on. It was a hurricane going on. Everybody else was in the water, and then we were looking for life jackets. We were looking for everything to just to stay afloat. And she had this big Titanic to herself, and only her special people were on it, and we were trying to get on there so we don't drown. And then that dream manifested later on with the Hurricane Harvey. They throwing up all the Masonic hand signs as well because they try to program it into the matrix and also signify it to the powers that be that they down with the agenda, and then also just for their own type of witchcraft and stuff and spells against the masses. And she is the whore that sits upon many waters as well as the Catholic Church, but they are using her. And when she was damaging the car, she had the Lewis Slugger. Praise the Lord in French is Louis Eternal. And so she had the Lewis Slugger and she was damaging the car. And Kara means the anointed Messiah and the beloved. And in the scripture said, this is my beloved son, in him I'm well pleased, the second coming name of the Messiah. And so she was blaspheming and then also in the water with the pig, with Miss Piggy. Ham or Hamashiach and Hebrew is Christ or Christ. So it was basically saying like the man out of the sea, but also her in the water, her damaging the car with the Lewis Slugger, and then being on top of the car, and a whole lot of other things they do for blasphemy of the Messiah and of the Most High. It's like instead of them being reborn in the spirit, they do the car crashes and the burning with the fire of like being reborn into the occult and the being rebirthed that way and becoming anew. And it's like some way they do it also, just like with symbology. It's like they don't want to be under the Most High, under the Messiah, but they want to be their own gods, but they still go by the Bible because they still want it to be like swayed in their favor. Also, when they do these sacrifices, they do something very good after, like a charity or a fundraiser or helping out the homeless, something so that they do not get the consequences of doing the evil bad thing, and it kind of balance out the karma for them. Judgment is still going to be there for them, but like the immediate cause and effect that usually happens if you do something very bad, they don't get it because they opt out of it by doing something good to overcome their evil. It's a way of balancing out your karma. I remember seeing this video when it came out and I was thinking, oh, what is going on with her? Maybe she's just like vibing in her own mind. And then I had seen the women behind her doing the sign language and targeting at her head. And so I was just like, didn't think nothing of it. But then when sign language was used on me as a form of witchcraft, as a form of mind control, the Masons had came up with sign language, and they usually use hand signs and symbols for their witchcraft. And so not only was the woman behind her doing certain hand symbols and signs, so was Jay-Z doing some, and so was the referee. And then you just see a lot of the people just doing stuff all around her with her hands. And so I was thinking about, I don't know if the Holy Spirit downloaded this into me, but Romans 1:28 says, even as they did not like to retain God in their knowledge, God gave them over to a reprobate mind to do those things which are not convenient. And so it just showed me a lot of the different spells that are on her. So we wrestle not against flesh and blood. So her vessel is being used for agenda and for spells to be cast. But not only that, in order for her to be used, spells have to be on her as well to keep her in the backseat of her mind, to keep her in that get out state that we see in the movies, how you're there but you're not there. And she looks very guarded in this video as well, so that's just a lot of warning signs. I just want to let the Beehive know that this isn't about hate or me not liking Beyonce. It's about me revealing the truth of what's been going on behind the scenes, my own testimony of the attacks that I've been receiving. And I was a fan, diehard fan, before I even was finna go to her first concert for Lemonade, but my car got broke down on the way and we ended up being stranded in some town. And now looking back, I knew that that was the Most High God protecting me from going to that concert and being possessed. But when she came out with Black is King, it what initiated me into getting deeper into African spirituality and getting into voodoo and things like that. And I literally got, if you watch the movie The Skeleton Key, they did the Skeleton Key on me. So that's what made me get trapped up. And I literally had different visions of whenever she was singing in the Destiny's Child, because I forgot to say that the Destiny's Child was about her. It was all prophesying about her being the one to be of destiny. And it was all for like initiating programming for her to be at the center of attention. But whenever they were singing, and it was three of them, I was like in her body while they were singing. And this was before she had Sasha Fierce, so they can't say I was Sasha Fierce. But it was just a lot of things that I'm like really exposing and bringing to the awareness to help other people who might be attacked or who our souls are captured through the witchcraft and the sirens that comes through the music and everything that be going on in Hollywood, Hollyweird, and it's evil is demonic. I also forgot to say that also if you're going to Dubai, do you know the amount of sex trafficking that goes on in that area, and how a lot of the celebrity women go there and after that their career pops off expediently? Like they have to go through a lot of different sexual things with different men and be like pimped out to the highest bidder. Like some of these celebrities, singers, and actresses, as much as I hate to say it, they are prostitutes and they're used. Their bodies are used for money and then for sex and a whole lot of different things. And it's like a gateway, it's like a portal for them to get more higher fame, more money, more recognition. It's just like different levels they have to go through. Sometimes they can choose which ritual they want to participate in. If it's the humiliation ritual, or if it is the sexual ritual or the gay ritual, and they have to keep going higher and higher. And so the women, they all go through that. And then you see that the men, all the rappers, and you got Little Dirk, Busta Rhymes, Nas, and many others who convert to Islam once they get higher up. And that's not a coincidence. More blasphemy that she's used for, or that she does, is with Bill, with William, with Kara, and with the Anointed Messiah's name and the Most High's name, with the songs Bill, Bills, Bills. Bill is short for William, and William is the will of I am. The Most High says he is the I am that I am, and that we do the will of God. So they use those names to blaspheme. Also, they use Charlie to blaspheme because it means free man. And the scripture just says, whoever the Son sets free is free indeed. And she came up with the playlist, not she, but her group were behind the playlist of Charlie's Angels, and even making a video when they was like, yes, Charlie. So she does that. And then I just came across this movie Carmen that she played in, and her name was Carmen. And so anytime they do car, anytime they blaspheme the car, Kara, they are using that as the Messiah's name to invert it, make it a female Messiah, and also to keep her or him in jail, or keep them suppressed, keep them disconnected from the Most High, which in French, praise the Lord, means Lou is eternal. So her boss was Lou in this skit that she had played in this movie. And also he had 76 for the 7 spirit over the 6 flesh. And also the second coming of Messiah came in 1976. So they do a lot of the 76 blasphemy, the Lou, the Car, the Carmen, and have that going against each other, and just doing that blasphemy to keep us all into witchcraft, keep us all low. And then also the different saints, as well as the Louisiana type of blasphemy that they're doing. That's why they're in Paris a lot, because also Jay-Z songs, Niggs in Paris, to block the throne, because the Gentiles are grafted in through the lineage that went through French, and also just the saints in Louisiana purchase and everything coming through the French. And also in Revelations 2:20 it says, because this right here, she's in a um, restaurant with a chef taking pictures, and it says, nevertheless, I have this against you. You tolerate that woman Jezebel, who calls herself a prophet. By her teaching, she misleads my servants into sexual immorality and eating of food sacrificed to idols. So like they're clearly telling us who they are, and they might like think, oh, she's not like says she's a prophet, but she literally plays the different roles of different people in the Bible and teaching through her songs, when her lyrics as her singing, and also the sexuality that she's doing. And when the second dream I had of her that was alarming, I was literally squashed down with my hands over my ears, trying to not hear her and Rihanna sing. And while they were singing, they were projecting this sexual frequency energy out, and they were falling, but they were like going down the steps, and they were singing, and they needed me to go up the steps to get uplifted higher up. They were trying to go up the ladders of masonry, the steps of masonry, to be at the top of the altar instead of having the Messiah at the top of the altar. And there were different rappers in the room, Future, Drake, and Jay-Z, and all of them were trying to run a train and do different things. And then some angels came and sliced them up, and then the dream ended. But they do like the projection of the sexuality, and then the food sacrifice to idols, because they always like show the food that they have, or just her being in that restaurant. And then also when she was giving food out to the people, and Hurricane Harvey help. And so all those things be just showing like exactly who they are, and we just ignore it, and we don't know scripture, or we don't know spirituality, and so we just let it go over our heads. Also, when they're in the elevator or they take the pictures by the elevator, a lot of the celebrities do it. It is also ritual elevation. It shows like whenever you go in an elevator, like if you're going down, you're going further down into hell, going up and going into heaven. And it's like a symbolic and a spiritual thing. The first time it was a humiliation ritual for Jay-Z and Solange, and also Beyonce, and how she like orchestrates stuff, but she sits back and lets people, her beehive, her demons, her sister, anybody else fight her battles. And that's what Jezebel was doing in the Bible. She was the one who was the mastermind of everything, but she had her prophets, her false prophets, her eunuchs, who are castrated men, gay men, do her bidding and war against Elijah. And also how Ahab was her husband. He was the king, but he didn't have no power because she had all the control. So he was going to her whenever he was crying. He couldn't get the vineyard, or he couldn't get this happen or this done, and she handled the different things. And also, she also has a church. He has a church of Beyonce. So that should just tell you right there. And scriptures is just lining up. Everything's being fulfilling. We're being shown who these people are, and
that's enough. It's not funny neither. You're in trouble now.
Yo, you got that right. Big time trouble. Look what you doing in my place.
An accident. I know it wasn't. I saw you back there talking slick to the girl. You hit her first.
This time I'm pressing charges, Carver.
Oh.
Lou, you can't press charges.
Forget about it. Every time you come into my place, there's trouble. Lock her up.
all right, now I want to get into claims that Beyonce is an alleged man. First, I wanted to call her name. Bey in Turkish is boy. Well, it translates to gentleman, and once is before. And so a lot of people who, when I was doing this research, was saying how Beyonce is a transgender, and Beyonce, her name is for boy once. And I just didn't know about that. I'm not really one to like start assuming and stuff. I'm going to do my research. But what got me to research this is because the last dream I've had Beyonce, that was a week ago, that prophesied her performance in Dubai. This dream, she was in the air and she was singing. It was like a burlesque kind of theme going on, and there was a lot of gay men around her, hyping her up. Also, she was using their energy and they were using hers, and she was projecting, and she was doing a lot of with her songs, her music, the siren, the psychic witchcraft, the hypnotism, the sexual frequency. But the whole time, like, she was in the air, her mind, like her brain, not only was she was held like as a puppet, her mind was attached to some type of string, and it was like pulling on her head, and she was like kind of being like controlled. But there was also, she was kind of like shifting from male to female, and it was all that energy and frequency around her. So I started to look that up because I just thought that was interesting. And then I already know that she had faked her pregnancy with Blue Ivy. Like, we all seen that video of how her stomach inflated. And if you're pregnant, you're not going to sit down like that. And if you're pregnant, your belly is not going to do that. People are going to say it's the dress too. But then that would just say that the belly wasn't even that big. And people even say she'd be lying about her age, or he or she. And so then I found this one person who spoke on how a lot of the people in Hollywood are inverts, and how she was a transgender at first, and then they castrate them and then give them different hormones to make them be female, to sell that to the world and get men to lust after men, and then also to keep us in spell and brainwash us. And then it's like insulting to our intelligence and telling us a lie. And just like with the Baphomet, it is the woman and it's the male. It's not just a womb, because it has a phallus. And that is how Satan wants to be worshipped. He takes the most purest. He was the most beautiful angel in heaven, but destroyed himself because he likes to destroy the Most High, the Creator's creation. So destroyed himself, made him to become Satan, uh, inverted himself and became ugly and became the devil. And that's what he likes to do with a lot of his puppets. These are the Satan's prophets. These are the industry prophets, the false prophets. And then people will watch this video and look at me like I'm weird or I'm bugging. And this is nothing new. Like, anybody who can't have a child in Hollywood, they get a surrogate. And we're like, oh, why can't they get a child? Like, oh, they're old or they've got some disease. No, they're men. They're men and they can't have children. So they have surrogates. And then they also have this technology coming out where the robots, or you can have a child through assimilation, through not a natural conception, but through a lab. And so half these people out here are clones anyway. And we don't say nothing about that. And then we have literally men actors like Nas X, who came out with videos with his stomach pregnant. And they have all these, the prosthetics, the makeup, the equipment to do this, even when they do it in movies and the actors be pregnant and they don't really be pregnant. Like, this is nothing new, okay? Like, we need to wake up and realize what's going on right here, that we have been duped, that we've been tricked, and we are under spells.
So here is the picture I was talking about. They made a lot of mistake because this was Beyonce giving a video, making a video on TV about when she was pregnant with Blue Ivy, when he was pregnant with Blue Ivy. Let me just put it in the right terms, because I expect that you've watched the part 1 and part 2 before you're on this part 3. So when he was pregnant with this Blue Ivy, he decided to get on national TV to make a report. And then she tried to sit, and people show you, this is a picture taken from that particular video. You can go online, probably on YouTube or wherever you can find it online, and look for the video, and you see what I'm talking about. Now, you would see that when she was trying to sit, people talked about that her baby bump here, right, folded. And you can see from the picture right here, I'm going to try to blow this up as much as I can so you can see it very clearly, right? It's going to be a little bit pixelated, but at least you get the picture. Now, they say right here that the baby bump folded. So they show you from when he was standing, trying to sit the way she was sitting. And women don't really sit like this when they try to, when they're pregnant with a baby, because if you bend this way, you see the way he's bending right here. If you bend this way, you would hurt the baby. You can't bend that way. So you would sit upright. That means you would sit with your back and your face up, and try to sit down on the side so you would sit properly and not hurt the baby. Okay? So based on this picture, based on that, they made a lot of mistakes on that pregnancy. They decided, if you've noticed with Beyonce on this particular pregnancy, it's been really, really quiet. You don't see a lot of pictures because they made a lot of mistakes on the last one, trying to convince you that a man, Beyonce, can be pregnant. So on this one, they're very, very quiet. They're not releasing a lot of pictures. Most of the pictures they release are like Photoshop pictures, and I'm going to show you in a second already, like the one you're looking at right now. So they're trying to make sure that they cover all their bases. she's not too much in public because the excuse they're gonna use is that she's pregnant with twins, so she can't be running around. It's too heavy, it's too troublesome. I'm just covering all the bases so you're not deceived. I want your brain to stay sharp, and for you to be able to see with your brain. So they cover all those bases. Like, she's not too much out in the open. The only performance they show, the fake Grammys, was just to give her an award, so you can be convinced that she's pregnant in the Grammys. That's the only real public presentation that she's had while pregnant with these twins. And bearing in mind, so I'm thinking, what will be the next thing? Are they gonna shut down another house? It's like, she's not too much out in the open. The only performance they show, the fake Grammys, was just to give her an award, so you can be convinced that she's pregnant in the Grammys. That's the only real public presentation that she's had while pregnant with these twins. And bearing in mind, so I'm thinking, what will be the next thing? Are they gonna shut down another hospital on these twins? So I'm thinking in the lines that it's gonna be like a private. It could be maybe a private hospital when you don't have too much people, or it's gonna be, let's say, a home birth, right? A home birth, because I think that's where it's leading towards to. It would be a home birth kind of thing, that she's maybe trying to, have home birth. They'll make up some sort of scenario or some sort of storyline based on the fact that maybe she's trying to get in roots with her, like maybe ancestral traditions or something like that, and then she'll have a home birth. So I don't want people to get confused because you're looking at a dude. Now, let's get into this picture now. As you can see, I'm going to show you how this picture is created in Photoshop. So I'm going to play a short video. I already played this video on the part 2, but I'll just play it one more time so you can see. Now, here's Beyonce, as you can see right here, right? It's almost the same kind of picture with this one right here, okay? You can see it right there. It's almost the same one. So I'm just showing you how this stuff is made in Photoshop. It's only that in this view, she's been turned her body has been turned a little bit much more sideways than this one over here. Okay, this one you have in full view, but let me just show you how this is done. So I'll play this short clip and you see how in Photoshop. Now, one of the tricks of Photoshop, like I've always said, is that you have to have a plain background, right? When you have a plain background, you can play with the pictures as much as you want. Okay, you can do a lot of stuff with it, because with the plain background, as you can see right now, if you follow my mouse, you would see that even with that, this is Beyonce placed inside of Photoshop, because if you follow the lines of my mouse, you will see that the edges are not really sharp. You don't have like a lot of nice edge. It looks rugged because it's pixelated. All right, so now I'll show you. Now, one of the tricks of Photoshop, like I've said, is the background has to be plain, so you can play and mess around with the picture a lot. You can get Photoshop with Adobe Photoshop. So now let's play this, so let's not take too much of your time, so you can see what I'm talking about. Want to see how that moves? Can you see how the picture is made to look pregnant from a standpoint? See that? So that's the same thing that you see on that other picture that I'll show you in a minute, right? See that? The picture I just showed you before. See that? How it's dragged, the tummy's dragged out, right? And made to look pregnant. Watch it again. Watch and see. So that's how a lot of, Beyonce's pictures are created every day, all right? Photoshop like that. So they Photoshop now. This picture that you're looking at is Photoshopped as well, because this can't be real, right? One of the tricks of Photoshop, like I said, the picture is black and white, so it doesn't embed too much detail. Because this one, she's nude, just like you saw in this, right? She's nude, right? And so in order to give that appearance, right, not for you to see the fine details of a Photoshop, they make these pictures black and white. They don't add too much color because she's nude in this one. It would be easy for you to spot the difference. Like you can see right here. See, let me just show you this very clearly so you can see Photoshop. See the way her hands is placed right here? Can you see that? Can you see her torso here? Just follow my mouse. Can you see that? See how the bum is so disconnected. So where this is This is a I'm just gonna say it like it is. This is her ass right here. But you can see the distance from this ass to the torso down here, right? Is so long. So I don't know why is the ass down here? Look at the distance from that to here. It's clear signs of Photoshop. Now the pictures is not gonna be they're not gonna make it with the right pixels as well. So you're not able to see all of that. So they can deny it. And so that's why part of the picture is black and white also, right? Can you see? This is her torso right here. Look at that. That's a torso right there. That's her body. That's where her body at. And look at where her ass starts right here. So what's connecting this? So it looks like the ass is so distorted away from the body. That doesn't look right, right? It would mean that the body would come down here and then the ass would start like that. That's how they want to show you the ass. Look at that. That doesn't look real. Doesn't look real. Look at the width, the distance from this ass starting right here and the body over here. So I'm just trying to make sure that you see all the bases, that this is proper Photoshop, okay? Photoshop. Look at that distance of her ass, and this the hand right there is covering it up so you don't see, right? That's Photoshop. The distortion. That's the ass right here, and this is the body right here. That doesn't look normal, all right? So with that, let's go through some of the other pictures, and I hope you can still see that right there. That doesn't look normal. The ass is right here, and the body's over there. They're too far apart. Photoshop, black and white, all the details. And I've already talked about the long hair, always trying to cover up the shoulders and the neck so you don't see that it's a man. Yeah, right. You may not see that clearly, but if you look at the skin right here, I want you to take a good look at my mouse. That doesn't look right for a pregnant woman. If you see the skin around this spot, right, it doesn't look right. So this is probably what he was wearing over here, the moon bump. Um, and you can read it right here. It says, as you can see, panty. There's something I wanted to bring to your attention. Maybe way back, let's say, a couple of years ago, you had this whole news about that Beyonce had her photoshopped thigh gap, and maybe you didn't understand why. The reason why is because males don't have thigh gaps. It's only females that have thigh gaps. The reason being that the female pelvis is wider than a male pelvis. And the pubic arch in between, because the pelvis is wider, the legs of a female sit further apart. The reason is because it has to have enough space for a child to come out of the female genital area. So the pubic arch here is always wider, making the legs of a female to be further apart. So you see that thigh gap. Now, Beyonce had to Photoshop her own thigh gap because she's not a natural born female. She was born male. So if you could check this picture right here, you will see that the stairs that she's climbing on a yacht, the first staircase here right here below her feet is straight. The second one is straight. The third one is straight. The fourth one, you can see that there seems to be like some sort of like pixelated cover up because they tried to add a thigh gap. So by the time you go up here, right, you will see that the whole staircase is warped or twisted because in trying to add the thigh gap, they did it wrongly and they twisted or messed up the pixels. So if you can look right here, the stairs are no longer straight. I have a better picture to show that. And this is the picture right here. So you can go online and you can Google it. You could see, you could type in something like Beyonce's photoshopping her thigh gap, and then you understand. But what the media does so well, because the same people who own the media, the news, whether it be CNN or Fox or any of the news outlets, are the same people who own Hollywood, are the same people who own Beyonce, who they treat as a product to give you a false reality and false fantasy about the world you live in, and especially to arouse more passions in men towards men. They will twist it and they'll never tell you the truth. They'll never tell you that the reason why Beyonce's thigh gap, right, is photoshopped this way is because she's male. Rather, they'll twist it to confuse you more and tell you that she just wants to look more gorgeous, or that kind of rendering. So that's how they work.
As for the backlash I'm going to get on this video, I really don't care. You can say anything with I'm broke or I'm ugly or I'm a hater or just any other smart remark and social media bullying that the Beehive does. I've heard it all, and none of it compares to the spiritual stalking and abuse that I have received for 5 years from Beyonce, Jezebel, her Enochs, her eunuchs, her gay prophets and helpers and demons and all other types of spirits that she have sent against me and have done against me and harassing me and literally be targeting me. And because she is one of the top witches, she's the high level witch of the wicked witch of the South, and she's one of the top ones up there, and a lot of people can't come against her, but I can, because she stole my power. So I'm the only one that can fight against her in this way. And before, I was mad that she had stole my power, but then, like, coming into God more and learning things, like, I made peace with it, because the power that I got was demonic power. I was accessing the spiritual realm illegally, and I was taking shortcuts. I wasn't, growing my power gradually, and I definitely didn't go through the Most High to get my spirituality. So it was stripped from me, and because I was in the demonic fed off of it and was using me as, well, I was channeling. They were channeling me. So now, I'm on the right path and doing what I'm supposed to do. She mad and literally, still tries to attack me with different things. I don't know if like her or the demon or the fallen angel that has taken over her. When she says that the spirit comes in her, when she, or something takes over her, when she raises her hands and she can perform, that's not an alter ego. An alter ego is someone that you, like, motivational of yourself, that you become. She literally says something comes in her and she acts totally different than who she really is. That is a spirit. That is a demonic spirit. She is talking about possession. And even with this album, Renaissance, and I'm not, just thinking about myself being self-centered or narcissistic and none of that, but my name is literally in Renaissance. And so I know that was a jab and an attack on me. And, a lot of these celebrities, they steal the chosen ones' gifts and their abilities and their talents, and then they market off of it, and we're left with nothing at the bottom of the barrel because of sold their souls. And not only do they have they sold their soul and got their inheritance, they got the inheritance of the chosens by us paying them, giving our energy to them, and they're feeding off of us. And it just keeps going on and on until somebody speaks up. And like, every time somebody speaks up, it's always a problem. But I had enough of the gaslighting and the gang stalking, and I'm going to, I'm not weak in the spirit. I'm a spiritual warrior. So I already know, like, how to attack these things or tackle these things. And even me making this video, I've had the worst attacks over my body and over my mind, even my phone not working. And I didn't even know she was doing it to Dubai. Like, I had the dream a week ago, and then I just like was getting the urge to pray against her, because a lot of her witchcraft that she does with her music, and then between the times of 12 and 4 a.m. And then I had got the notification, or I seen on YouTube, that she was in Dubai. And so it was 2 days that they were doing a lot of the things that they were doing in there, and my background with Muslim as well. So I know they'd be targeting a lot of people. And so I just was like praying against it. And so, yeah, this is the video. I'm going to put some more videos of others' testimonies in here. And we overcome the devil by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of our testimony. And greater is he that is in me than he that is in the world. Hallelujah. And I bleed the blood all over this message, so that none of the evil things that I have revealed in this touches anybody or attacks anybody. But I pray that we can wake up and come back to truth and come back to our Creator and repent for all this idol worship.
Tanya, and I got this video of Beyonce, and I want to play it for you. And in the second clip that's in this video, the background will be green. Watch her face closely.
It's amazing
see that? Did y'all see that? Let me pause it. Have a good day, y'all.
Who is adored by many, Beyonce. Many of you know who she is. Her song that she wrote, I don't even know what the song is called, right? But once upon a time, I was a huge Beyonce fan, okay? I was like obsessed with Beyonce. Me and my auntie, I'm talking about, we couldn't wait for the BET Awards to come around. We couldn't wait for Beyonce to hit the stage, you know what I'm saying? Okay, it was bad, all right? I was like, she was my idol in a way, you know, at one point in my life. But I would still listen to her music, you know, every now and then, you know, I would hear her, you know, whatever. And so it started off with her singing, like in a loop in my head, and while she's singing in this loop in my head, I see a vision of a church, like somewhere in a remote area. You know, there's no other buildings around. It's just this, you know, like orange grassy area. You know, I'm gonna post a picture, you know, so that you guys can get a visual of this. But as I'm like looking at this church looks it looks haunted, honestly. I'm not even gonna lie. It looks like the church of like Satan, if I'm being honest with you. But in my ear it kept ringing. I heard church bells ringing. I heard the choir singing. I heard church bells ringing. I heard the choir singing. Again, I heard, right? And it's just going and going and going and going. And I'm like, what in the world is going on, right? So as this is going on, right, as she keeps singing in my ear, then comes this demon enters the room, right? And it starts at the foot of the bed, right? Now, mind you, I'm aware. I know I could feel everything that's happening right now. I'm awake, but I'm paralyzed. I cannot move. I cannot speak. I can literally feel the warmth of my husband laying right next to me, but I could not budge to wake him up, to let him know that I am, you know, I'm suffering right now, you know, something's happening to me right now, and I can't move to wake him up, you know, to help me. And so this demon starts at the foot of the bed, right, and it crawls. I'm laying down on my back, right, laying down, eyes closed, right, and I know, I could feel that I can't open my eyes to see what's in front of me, but for the life of me, I would not open my eyes because I did not want to see whatever that was molesting me. But anyways, though, it came from the...
I can't do. And I remember right before I performed, I raised my hands up, and it was kind of the first time I felt something else come into me, and I knew that was gonna be my coming out night for the BET Awards.